I just got a little reminder that I'm muted there. Okay, well, how about that? Well, welcome everybody. Good to have you all in here for Speaking of Zane, March the 3rd, 2024. What is it? 271st edition of Speaking of Zane. So we are coming up on what? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 6 years. Wow, incredible to think we've been doing this for that long. Well, let's see who we have in here. We've got Lori's in here. My dad is in here. Hello, Dad, down in South Georgia. Steve Shirley's in here from Papillion. Ken's in here from Central Florida. Terry Bass is in here from, I don't know if you're in Kansas City proper, Terry. Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri, somewhere over there. My Aunt Mary's in there. Yeah, we got a lot of February and March birthdays. Toby, my cousin's one of those. Happy birthday, Toby. Yeah, his sits just a couple of days before my brother. Daryl's in there. Carl Q's in there. Let's see. All right, looks like my mother-in-law's in there. Hello, Carol. And let's see. The Aarons are in there, but Matt won't be there. He's working. Okay, gotcha. One of Zane's battle buddies up in Michigan. All right, well, good to have everybody in here tonight. Jim's in there. Hey, Jimbo, I got you, buddy. Jim's in there. Jim is a loyal viewer of Speaking of Zane, that's for sure. Since the very beginning. But I hope you all are having as nice a weather as we had today. We were in the 70s today. Absolutely beautiful. But you know what? We paid for that earlier this week. I think we had a couple of nights in the 30s this week. I heard the heater kicking on quite a bit, but today was very nice. Um, got out and about a little bit today. Went over to my daughter Hannah's place, and she had a couple of little repairs that needed to be done around her apartment. So I got those knocked out. One little trip to Lowe's, and got that knocked out. It was good to get over there. Everett was home with her this weekend. And man, I cooked a fantastic pot roast yesterday. Usually I put my pot roast in on Sundays. You guys may have heard me talking about that. But I did it on Saturday because I went to the store Friday. I think it was Friday. They had these roasts. They're like two and a half, 3 pound roasts on sale for $5.99 a pound. So I bought 5 of them jokers. And I put 4 of them in the freezer. And I said, well, I'll just leave one out and I'll just cook it a day early than I normally cook it. And I put that sucker in yesterday. Man, Lori had some of it. And it was probably my best pot roast that I can recall in some time. I sear the pot roast, cook the pot roast in like a skillet and sear all the sides. It's supposed to hold the juice in more. I don't know if it does anyway, but it's kind of fun and it makes the house smell good. But I okay. The hat of the week is coming, guys. You can see, and there's a particular reason why I'm wearing this hat. You guys all know that my daughter Charlie, works for United Airlines. She's a global threat analyst for them. She advises their executives on geopolitical turmoil all across the globe that might impact their operations. There's a clue for you. But it's a very specific reason why this is the hat of the week. More about that in a minute. Don't get ahead of us, Ken, you scallywag. Okay. What was I talking about? The roast. Yeah. So, yeah, Lori has a tough time eating the roast because the day that we found Zane in his room dead was a Sunday, and there was a roast in the crock pot. The house smelled like roast, and I don't think either one of it. I think the dog ended up eating the roast. In fact, but I love roast, and this one I sear the sides. I put it in the crock pot. I put some beef broth in, and beef broth and a package of Lipton onion, beef and onion dried soup mix. You know what I mean? Dried soup mix. Put that in there. I let that go for hours. And then I'll eventually slice up some onions, put some onions in there, put some garlic in there. And then I don't put potatoes and carrots in there like I did when I was fat. I don't eat those anymore. I put, there's 3 different things I might put in my roast these days because I like a little something with it more than the meat. But this time I use sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes have less carbohydrates than regular potatoes anyway. So I put chopped up some sweet potatoes in there. And then I just let that cook for I put that in when I get my coffee. I was getting my coffee Saturday morning, maybe about 9 o'clock. Got that all prepped. Got it in about 10 a.m. and then let that thing go until 6 p.m. And man, it is just absolutely incredible. It's incredible. Yeah, we went for a little while. We couldn't eat the roast. It was just like Lori says in the chat there, it's kind of a trigger, I guess. But I just love it so much. I love the way that the pot roast pulls apart. But anyway, and I'm mostly a carnivore. So, but anyway, so the other things that sometimes I put in the roast. This time I use sweet potatoes. Sometimes I put cabbage. I eat a lot of cabbage, and turnips. Not turnip greens, but turnips. I'll dice up some turnips and put in there. But anywho, all right. Let's see. Who is that said they had a roast today? See, sometimes depending on the way that you're viewing, it just says Facebook user. So I'm not sure which Facebook user had the roast today. But you're right, it makes the whole house smell just fantastic. But anyway, enough about that. But I went out to Hannah's, do a few little items around her apartment, and then she lives in Cartersville, so we live in Ackworth. Go a little bit north to Cartersville, and then as long as I was in Cartersville, I just went on over to Canton. Oh, okay. Hey, Katie, and to Georgia National Cemetery and spent some time with Zane. It's been a few weeks since I've been out there. They're doing a lot of work out there. They got a whole an area. They're expanding out there. Um, they've got some new sections that have just been grass the whole time we've been going out there. That they're now. I didn't know they did this. I don't know that they did it in Zane's section. I don't know, but these other sections that they're prepping now, they scoop out the whole area and they put the vaults. They put those concrete vaults in, and I'm like hundreds of them, like side by side by side, and then they cover it all back up and then grass it back over. And then I guess as an individualist place, they excavate the one thing. It's just incredible, kind of like honeycombed. But anyway, so yeah, I spent, when I go out there, I spend at least an hour out there. Sometimes I'll go out there and I'll do my daily walk out there. And if you go around um, one full circuit, I think it's about a mile and a half, one full circuit. I usually do two circuits. And then there's some benches out there between sections. Sometimes I'll just sit out there for a bit. The weather was just gorgeous. We've had a lot of rain lately, but today was a good day. So I spent some time out there. Then on the way back, stopped off at Lowe's and picked up a couple things I needed for Hannah's apartment, and then went back to her apartment, got that fixed. She had one of her door, like one of these door latch or window latch things right here had broken. So I just, they caused that top window to fall down. So got that fixed for her. Okay, well, let's see. Yeah, my Aunt Mary says, yeah, like I mentioned, in our family, we have a lot of February and March birthdays. My Uncle Jack, my dad's brother Jack, and my dad's brother Arthur both have March birthday. Colin Crim's in there. Hey, Colin, out in Albuquerque. I think Uncle Jack's on the 5th. My brother Terry's on the 6th, and my Uncle Arthur's on the 7th. So happy birthday, all. I think my brother Terry is 4 years younger than me. So his birthday is the 6th, March the 6th. My brother Terry, he's a Marine Corps vet and an Army vet, and enlisted Marine, Army officer. I think, Dad, help me out. I think he's 57 this year. Maybe he's like 4 years younger than me. So I'll be 61 this year. He's 4 years younger. Maybe that's 57. I don't know, something like that. I think he was born in 1967. So 7 and 2024 and 67. I think that's right. But anyway, he lives down there in South Georgia. Oh, happy anniversary, Katie. 13 years. Wow. My goodness. That's getting up there. Lucky 13. Get past 13, it's smooth sailing, right? All right. Well, let's see. Had a good week at work, a normal week. Actually, got a lot of things going on at work. Got a lot of activity going, even though I don't have any students right now in my academy. I got a lot of prep work. I got a lot of strategery I'm working on. I got a new group. I'm trying to find 20 or so quality candidates to start this summer. Well, it's not hard to find. Had 500 people apply. I'm trying to narrow it down to 20 is what we're working on. But so working on a lot of that stuff. And I do have some travel coming up that all just sort of materialized this past week. This next Friday, March the 8th, I think it is. I've got to go to St. Louis for a meeting on Friday, and then I'm staying over. I'm actually staying over Saturday, but coming home Saturday afternoon. Um, there's a there's a high school science and technology team that I've been coaching and mentoring since 1st of February or late January. I did the same thing last year, but we're mentoring them. There's a competition. There's like 20 schools, 10 students per school. So we presented them with a challenge. They had to do solve this problem and then present. Well, my team, out of the 20 some schools, I guess it was, my team is in the top 5. So they're called Troy Buchanan High School, Daryl, up there in Troy, Missouri, just a little bit northwest of St. Louis. Troy Buchanan High School. Anyway, they're in the top 5, so they go to the playoffs. They go to the next round, and that means they come to our headquarters in Maryland Heights on Saturday morning, and they have to present. So I'm going Friday for a meeting. I got to meet a young lady that I'm looking to maybe hire on my team, and then Saturday I'll be there for my high school team, and then come home Saturday afternoon. So that was an unexpected one. And then the next week I've got to go back to St. Louis for the 4th through the 16th. Or 14th through the 16th. So the 14th and 15th, I'm there for meetings at our headquarters. And I'm staying over again the Friday night because Saturday I've got to go to some training to be a guardian on an honor flight. If you've been on an honor flight, put it in the chat there. But I'm going on an honor flight. Me and 2 of my colleagues at work have been asked to go to be guardians for veterans that they're taking to Washington, D.C. to visit all the monuments and stuff. My dad went on one a few years ago, Dad, right? Was it 3 years ago? I can't remember when it was, but I didn't go on the honor flight, but I flew up separate and met him there, surprised my dad. So I got to see kind of what it's all about. And I've been on the sending and the receiving end at airports in Savannah, but I've never actually been it's like a chaperone, but they call him a guardian, somebody. So I've been assigned a veteran. He's a Vietnam veteran, and he's in a wheelchair actually. But anyway, so Saturday, the 16th, I've got to get guardian training by the Greater St. Louis honor flight team. So me and a couple of my colleagues there. So I'll be there for that. And then the actual honor flight, it works out nice because I got to go to St. Louis anyway on April the 8th. So I'll go to St. Louis on April the 8th. The honor flight out of St. Louis is on April the 9th. I think it's a Tuesday. So we get up at like 2 in the morning, go to the airport, fly to Washington, D.C., spend the day doing all the monuments and stuff, and then fly back to St. Louis, get back in St. Louis like 8 or 9 p.m. So it'll be a long day. And then I'll be there for some more meetings at our headquarters on the Wednesday and then come home Wednesday evening. Anyway, so I got 3 trips that just sprung up out of the blue since we talked last week. Okay, well, what about my walking challenge I've been on? We finished it. It was for the month of February. Remember last week I was reporting I was in like 18th position of 402. I had soared up the leaderboard because I got a walking pad underneath my desk, one of those stationary treadmills, and I was walking a lot during the day. So I was made up a lot of ground. So I made it as high as 17th spot. And guess what happened? My walking pad, my treadmill burned up. I mean, I smelled smoke. Remember, guys, whenever we had something burning in the airplane, you're hypersensitive to electrical smoke. That's what happened to the walking pad. I guess I just walked on it so much it burned up. It was lubricated and all the stuff I was supposed to do, and it's rated, only weigh 200 pounds. It's rated for like 300. So I don't know what happened to it, but anyway, because of that, I couldn't get as many steps in. Long story short, I finished 20th. So I wanted to get to the top 20. I got as high as 17, but I finished at 20 out of 402. So not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah, I was burning the calories there. But yeah, that was fun. I tell you what, that'll motivate you when you have a little competition at work. But it was great. It was good to finish at 20 out of 402. That's not too shabby. I'll take that for a 60-year-old man. Okay, I am reading a new book on my walk. I do an afternoon walk through the neighborhood. I'm reading a new book. I mentioned I read a book called Extreme Ownership. I actually listened to it for the second time. And now I'm reading one that our president of our company, Joe Koenig, recommended called Team of Teams. Team of Teams. So I'm reading that. It's by General McMaster's. I don't know if anybody recognizes the name. He's been retired, I don't know, 10 or 12 years now. But anyway, he wrote this book called Team of Teams. I'm only just a little ways into it, but that's what I'm listening to on my walks now. Is anybody else watching Masters of the Air? Yesterday, I watched episode 7, and it was good, just as good as the others. I think there's 2 more episodes. I think, Colin, aren't you the one that said there was 9 episodes? I can't remember, but there's just a couple more episodes, I believe. But I'm really enjoying that. It comes out on Fridays, but I don't watch it till Saturday night. Okay, spring training. Anybody watching baseball? I know Lori's tracking the Dodgers already, but the Braves won today. The Braves beat the Phillies. Braves are 5-4. Coin toss, I guess. In spring training, they're putting everybody in and everything, so you don't take a whole lot of stock in it. But look forward to regular season getting here. All right, hat of the week, hat of the week, hat of the week. Hat of the week always has something to do with what's going on around here at the fabulous McDonald Estate and Insane Asylum, or at work, or at play, or something. Sometimes I might make stuff up. Sometimes I don't pick the hat of the week until like 2 minutes before we go on the air. But this week I picked my United Airlines hat because my daughter Charlotte told me today that she knows a lot of stuff. She has a top secret clearance. She knows a lot of stuff that she can't tell everybody. She actually did a trip to Florida this week. She travels all over. She did a trip to Florida this week. She was at an Air Force base. Somebody help me. Which Air Force base is it that is down on the Panhandle? Not Hurlburt, but it's next to Hurlburt. She flew into Panama City. I don't know. Is that Tyndall or Patrick? No, Patrick is on the Atlantic. Anyway, I never can remember if it's Tyndall. Which one is on the Panhandle and which one is in Tampa? I always get those two mixed up. Is it Eglin or Tyndall? Is Tyndall in Tampa? I think it's Eglin. Yeah, I think you're right, Eglin. Anyway, she spent a few days in Eglin this week. What was she doing on an Air Force base? I have no idea, but she was. She can't tell me everything. But anyway, she did tell me today because it was, it's not secret. It was published. But United Airlines flew their first flight back into Israel where did she say? Where did she say they fly into? Tel Aviv. Yeah, Tel Aviv. So it was the first one for United. I think it was the first American carrier back into Israel, the very first flight. And so she's been working on this for some time. And you can imagine the threat and all the things that have to, the moving parts and stuff. And she's been involved in all of that. Like I mentioned, she advises the leadership of the company about those kinds of matters, and that's why she's always meeting with TSA and the FBI, and maybe that's why she was at this Air Force base. I don't know, but anyway, she was telling me some very interesting things about GPS spoofing and all these different things. But she said they were successful, or no incidents. But okay, so now you guys got me confused. Is Tyndall and Eglin, are they both in the Panhandle? Because now I don't remember which one she told me. Um, but I've got to find out. Let me look at her texts here. I'll tell you now. It's going to bug me. Let's see. It's whichever one had a hurricane hit it, because she said there was all kind of reconstruction going on. Let's see. I may not be able to find it. That's okay. Tyndall. She went to Tyndall. Yeah. Yep. Yep. I just looked it up. Yeah, she went to Tyndall, not Eglin. So my mistake there. All right, we got that out of the way. What the heck she was doing there? I have no idea. She evidently can't tell me. So, but she's back in Chicago now. She said it was 70 degrees in Chicago today. She did a run along the lakefront today, because you never know, it could be snowing next week. But that's the way Chicago is. Okay, so that's the reason for the hat of the week. I'm sure there's some press out there if you go to United, or even maybe some of the major outlets have talked about it. But dear old dad here got a little inside scoop. Okay, well, moving along here, moving along. This week in military history, I have a couple of history items. Well, how about this one for all my Cornhuskers? March the 1st, this isn't a military related item unless you tie in Fort Crook and all this, but March 1st of 1867, Nebraska officially became a state. So happy birthday, Nebraska. How about that? 1867, I guess. Was that during the Civil War? I guess it was. Sometimes she misses Seattle, but I think that's Katie asking. But she seems to really like Chicago. She really does. Oh, Steve, did you get to witness the signing of the adoption of statehood there in Nebraska? I tell you what, I can't wait to see you two guys together in the same place at the same time, because that's going to be it's either going to be a hug fest or it's going to be a mud wrestling match. I ain't decided which one yet, but all right. All right. So, all right, Nebraska. Yeah, Lori's right. Plattsmouth was one of the first settlements, I guess, there along the Platte River, hence the name Plattsmouth. All right. Fast forward to March 3rd of 1973. This is for you, Ken. I found this one for you. The 150th Minuteman III was installed at a launch facility at Grand Forks Air Force Base, completing the changeover from the Minuteman II to the Minuteman III. How about that? I didn't know that. March 3rd of 1973. All right, fast forward 7 years on this date, March the 3rd, 1980. Kerry Watkins, our old crew dog friend Kerry, arrived at Lackland Air Force Base for basic training 44 years ago today. Kerry, how about that? Time has flown. And then fast forward another 13 years. Most of us remember this occurrence on March the 2nd, 1993. March the 2nd, 1993. Think about what was happening. I guess that's what, 31 years ago now. Holy smoke, 31 years ago. EC-135C, tail number 049, was decommissioned and became part of the SAC Museum. How about that? I didn't realize that it went to the museum in '93. Of course, didn't it just go across the way where it was by the back gate? Was that gate 7? No, that's Keesler. Whatever that back gate was over by Ham's, that where the Sac Museum used to be. Did 049 go there first before they moved them all to Ashland? I may be right about that. But many of you here have visited what's now known as the Sac Aerospace Museum, I think, isn't it? Anyway, it's changed names a couple times, but the 049 has been fully restored, well, except for the wings. And I'll tell you, it looks better inside than it ever looked when any of us flew on it. That's for sure. But man, that restoration team, it sat outside for what, guys, 17 years before they ever did anything with it. But once they pulled it inside and started restoring it, it is just absolutely incredible. I can't wait to get back. I've seen it several times. I can't wait to get back up there and see it again sometime. I know they don't open it up regular. They only open it up on certain occasions, but it'd be nice to get back up there. All right. Let's see, Daryl. I don't think you got to go inside. I think when Daryl, were we up there together? Was it for Todd's funeral? I think we went out there and they had pulled it out of the hangar. It was outside, but it was locked up. We couldn't get in, but we took some pictures on the outside, I think, if I remember. I've seen it a couple times since then. I just remember, Daryl, the last one you and I were there together. I think it was for Todd's funeral. Well, let's see. Ken says March 9th of 1990, he pulled his first alert in the missile business. All right. One of those missile cone heads. Yeah. Okay, Daryl, that's right. Yep. All right. Well, that's it for this week in military history. We had some cemetery visits this week. I always count a couple for my dad. And Daryl, I couldn't remember if you went twice this week or once. Put that in the chat for me. And then I made a visit today, as I mentioned. And then Terry Bass is in there. Terry, last week I forgot to mention your visit to Knob Noster Cemetery there near Whiteman Air Force Base. Thank you for posting that in the Speaking of Zane Facebook group. So I got that listed. I don't know if we have Knob Noster Cemetery on our map or not. I'm going to have to check. But thank you, Terry, for doing that. So I counted that for this week. Waiting on Daryl to tell me if he did one visit or two this week, and that's going to determine our total count for the week. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to have 6 visits for the week, which means we're at 1,097 visits. How about that? All right. Yeah, I know the weather's been great in St. Louis. I think, Daryl, you guys have touched on 80 degrees already. Some of my coworkers were telling me this week. It's just incredible. All right. How about the Thank a Vet Challenge? If anybody had some thank yous or some veteran interactions, that might be a better way to phrase it. Veteran interactions this week. Let me know in the chat, but I'll tell you what I know about. Daryl had an interaction with a retired Air Force guy. He saw him. He was wearing his retired Air Force hat. Turns out he was an Air Force Communications Command, or what was he, Daryl? Something like that. But anyway, so Daryl had that one. There's 3 thank yous there. 2 firefighters and the Vietnam vet. Is that you, Katie? Let's see. Let's get that jotted down. Ooh, 80 in Kansas City too, huh, Terry? Okay. Ken had 3. So I'm going to add. How am I doing this on the fly? Ken had 3. So I add another 3. So 3, 6. 651. Okay, got it. All right. So Daryl had a retired Air Force guy. Ken had 3. Katie had the 2 firefighters and a Vietnam vet. My friend Rhonda Medlin has 1, and it's a very special one. It's her son, who's a Coast Guardsman. She went up there. She's traveled up there quite a bit since he's been up there. He's stationed in New Jersey, but they looked like they were touring New York City today. And then I had some interesting ones. I had 2 young men that I interviewed for my program at work. One was an Air Force vet. One's an Air Force vet, and he's actually out now, but he lives in Omaha. His wife's in the Air Force there at Offutt. And then I had a Army Special Forces guy that lives down in Tampa. And then I have a business partner I was doing a little collaborating with this week, and the owner of the company is an Army vet, and one of the ladies that works on his team is an Army vet. So that was 2 Army, 3 Army, and an Air Force for me. Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, so if I total who's that with the Vietnam vet at the gas station? So let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Gotcha. Okay, so that makes 10. Let me get my numbers right here. Let me get my numbers right. We earn every one of those veteran interactions. So I want to make sure I got an accurate accounting here. 2025. And this will be 2025. Okay, we're at 2555. All right, good work. 2555. Okay, well, let's see. Moving on. Well, hey there, Jonathan Peters. How's it going? Welcome to Speaking to Zane, where we talk about Zane every week and other things. I went out and visited Zane at the cemetery today. Good to have you in there. All right. Well, nothing really new in the organization section. I mentioned something caught my eye this week. I mentioned last week, a couple weeks ago, I guess, a coworker of mine lost her daughter a couple years ago now, and she has a podcast. And I've been listening to her podcast when I walk. I alternate with my books, and I listened this week to her. They started this podcast. It's called Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess, but it's about their blended family. He brought 3 to the mix. She brought 3 to the mix anyway. And they started this podcast before they lost their daughter. Hallie is her name. And I listened to the podcast, the very first podcast they did after they lost her. They had only lost her like 2 weeks. She was killed in a tragic gun shooting. Anyway, I listened to that episode, and so many things that Lori and I have learned, and so many things that we share with others. And we didn't know each other. When I hear her talk and say things about it, it reminds me of Lori, of how Lori and I learned things along the way, and how you know our viewpoint of things shifted and changed. And anyway, so to hear her echo a lot of those same things has been fascinating, honestly. But that's the one of hers I listened to this week, and I'll listen to more of them. But one I saw on her Facebook page, she had said the most recent one they did this week. I think they do one a week. I don't know. The recent one, she said it was all about. They had a guest on. The pastor of their church was the guest, and he's talking about dealing with grief and what the Bible says about grief and all of that. I haven't listened to it yet, but um, I'll do it this week on one of my walks. But anyway, I'm anxious to hear about that, obviously. But okay, yes, Gary Sinise's son, he's called Mac, passed away this past week of this cancer. I don't know what kind of cancer it was, but I did see that, Katie. I think he was like 30, might have been 31 or 32 years old, something like that. It's just a shame for sure. Okay, well, let's see. The only thing on the horizon, I mentioned Honor Flight. I'm going on Honor Flight. That's an outstanding organization. If you've never been on one or attended the departure or the arrival of one at an airport, it's worth it to do that for sure. It's an incredible atmosphere. Um, so I'll be doing that. And then in May, the month of May, um, all across the country, people have an opportunity to participate in Carry the Load. It's called Carry the Load. Go Google it, Carry the Load, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And Lori and I have participated here over the years, a couple, 2 or 3 times over the years. They have a great organization there that comes up in May. And then, of course, we have more Memorial Day in May. And then July, we'll have the next edition of Running to Honor up in Michigan. We'll do it virtual. You can still register for that. We're registered. There's a team. If you want to do that virtual run, Running to Honor, go Google Running to Honor. You can register for that, and you can join the Speaking of Zane team. Speaking of Zane team, if you want to. But we're actually going to be there in person in 2026. It'll be the 10th anniversary of Zane's passing. Aaron, the founder and organizer of Running to Honor there in Michigan, is dedicating the 2026 race to Zane. Wow, incredible! So yeah, we're going to go up there for that. I'm excited about that. Okay, I think that's what's on the short term. If you guys are involved in any veteran related organizations that do good work, like I have this whole list. I keep saying I'm going to put it in the Facebook page, and I just don't get around to it. But there's a lot of them that we're aware of, that we know about, that we contribute to, that we participate with. If you have any like that, let me know. We'll talk about them. But yeah, Lori reminds me there, we still have not settled on a time to put Tyler to rest. It weighs heavy on me, honestly, and I know it weighs heavy, heavy, heavy on Lori. But there's a reason why we're not in a rush, and I mentioned it last week, and it's because there's a man who knew Tyler very well that was incarcerated with Tyler, whose path went the totally positive direction from Tyler's, and he has some things to be said, and I think that everybody would want to hear. And we're waiting on the scheduling to line up. We're waiting on things to line up. I think that would make it. I think having David there is going to make it the most complete that it can be. But anyway, we have not forgotten about Tyler. I go to bed every night just in agony about it, and just terrible. Okay. Well, thank you all, team, for being there. I know I went a little bit longer tonight than I normally do, but I appreciate you all so much. Have a great week. If you interact with a veteran or a first responder, tell them, hey, I appreciate what you do for this country. They certainly deserve it. Strike up a conversation, whatever the case. Um, and maybe it'll make you glow a little bit on the inside. Haven't done that, but I always like the interactions I have. I don't find too many grumpy veterans. They sometimes we get a bad rap for being grumpy, but most of the ones are happy to chat. Um, but anyway, so do that, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody again Sunday night. I'll be back Saturday. I'm going to be gone Friday. Be back Saturday afternoon. So we'll be here for Speaking to Zane on Sunday. So we'll look forward to seeing everybody then. God bless. See you next week.